It takes a special group of people to dedicate their lives to restoring old World War II warbirds, and that's what they do here at Pacific Fighters. I'm Mike Price, and this is Mike's Makers! Woo!
My name is John Muszala from Idaho Falls, Idaho, and we here at Pacific Fighters restore World War II fighter planes. We specialize in the fighter aircraft from World War II. You know, we've done some bomber stuff over the years, but the fighters is really what we specialize in. And we don't only specialize in anything from just America, but we've done British, German, small amount of Japanese stuff. So we kind of all the countries except for Italy. Their fighters are really rare and nobody's restored one in a long time. So these airplanes come to us in all conditions. I mean, sometimes they fly in and we restore the airplane. Yeah, it flew in, but it was a little rough, and so we go in and change this and that, and sheet metal systems, engine prop, paint, everything. Sometimes they come to us in wreckage condition, sometimes they come in relic condition. They're just various states of disrepair and come in and we get started.
So John, can you tell me a little bit about what we have right here and what your ultimate goal is?
This is a P-51C. As you can see, we're in the beginning of the restoration, and this airplane is the only known RAF Mustang. It's got extensive history with the RAF, and even more significant is it was a Polish squadron airplane. So Polish fighter pilots that escaped through occupied Europe to get to the UK flew this airplane in combat.
So what are you working on right now? This is the fuselage.
This is a fuselage. Right now we're getting the structure in place, making sure everything is exactly how it should be. We don't cut corners or anything like that. This is exactly how North American made it. If there's a small L bracket or whatever weird, it goes back in. That's how it's done. But as you can see, it's a lot of new. The airplane was heavily damaged in its accident in '44, so.
And if I understand right, you've only got a piece of the wing.
We've got a lot of wreckage for it, but
okay.
The cool part, the thing that really shows off what it was is, the piece of wing on the wall. This is part of the RAF Mustang Mark III. Mm-hmm. It's known as FB206. Like I said, every airplane has its own past. Mm-hmm. Like everything, it's checkered. And as strange as this is, it was one of the first production C-model Mustangs to come out of the factory in Texas. It was meant to go to the 8th Air Force in European theater of war. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, we haven't been able to find out. The Americans gave it to the RAF. Huh. The RAF painted their insignia over top of the American star, which is something that you don't see in the history books. You see pictures of Mustangs and Spitfires and all these airplanes, but you don't see markings overlap markings unless it's a captured airplane or some special circumstance. But for two allied countries to have the same airplane and have their markings overlap is strange. So it's kind of one of the unique pieces to FB206 and something we're going to replicate.
So you're using the same things that they would have used in the 40s during World War II.
Yeah, same exact metallurgy, metal materials, everything is the way it is, even down to each one of these holes is a rivet, and each rivet takes two guys by hand. It's an absolute joy to fly. The Mustang and some of these others are a joy to fly and to get in the airplane and buckle up and look through a gun sight and know that what you're sitting into is what kids went into combat. Is it's humbling to know these kids and what they did and just how technologically advanced all nations were in World War II. For us, it's similar to an archaeology dig. You get into the airplane and you look through old photos and old parts and all of these things that come with it. You'll pull the skin off a wing and it'll have some lady wrote her name, or somebody wrote a message, or somebody drew a Japanese flag in an engine mount. We found really strange things that for us is fun. Instead of just like, here's an airplane, paint it green, send it out the door. You come in and there's all these different colors and all these different notes, or games, tic-tac-toe, box games, how many sides to the box. There's all these things that go into these airplanes. And so for us to get into a project and see what made it personal, this specific airplane, it's a lot of fun for us, and it's a lot of fun for us to replicate. This is that archaeological dig. That's original stamping, metal stamping, and it's blue. So you'll start into restorations, and we're kind of used to like red or green. And this one's blue. Blue. Blatantly blue in the wreckage, and so you go, oh, okay. This is on this piece, it's documented, here it is. So when we rebuild that piece, and we'll put that stenciling back on in that color.
Wow.
This was made during World War II. This is a German aircraft switch, brand new in the box.
Switch, huh?
Yeah, just a switch. But it's stuff like this is what makes what we do fun, because I mean, this is a box from the 40s.
Wow.
It survived. Personally, I really enjoy cockpits. As a mechanic, I love getting into the airplane, making it work, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, all these different things. But as a pilot, you sit in the cockpit, and it's very personal. It's very intimate when you're alone in the airplane, going 300 miles an hour, you're alone. That's you. That's it. There's, something goes wrong, nobody's going to save you. And if everything goes right, nobody's going to be there to enjoy it with you. And so from a restoration side, I really enjoy cockpits. And I also enjoy painting and a lot of the detail. Me and my brother have really gotten involved in that authentic detail that goes into the airplane. And that's something that I really enjoy. I enjoy seeing that final product.
What is this one right here?
This is a P-51 Mustang.
Okay.
It's a later version, and this airplane has a lot of history in America. This airplane sat on a pole for 40 years, was never touched by civilians, and the owner bought it, and we restored it from the ground up back to its original status.
Okay, so I guess what are some of the things that you were able to do specifically for this one?
Well, because no civilian had been into this airplane, it was all original the way it was in the military. It came off factory line and went to something called NACA, which is what became NASA, and the airplane did aerodynamic and supersonic testing. It was basically a flying wind tunnel. And so because it wasn't raced or any of those things, it had all that original NACA stuff on it. We were able to restore it to exactly what it was.
Oh, wow. And have you flown in this?
I've flown this airplane quite a lot, and it's a joy to fly. I love history. I've loved it since I was a kid. And not just the airplanes and not just machinery, but the infantry and the politics and the weather that those guys had to fight, and just everything about history and World War II especially. I really love it. From everything from daggers and guns to gun sights and parts and pieces and engines and pistons, and I just love everything about World War II history. It's very interesting. It was a period of time in recent human history where technology was through the roof. I mean, the rate that they were doing, things were changing every week. It wasn't just every year, every month, it was every week things were changing. This guy went, oh, this is a cool design, and the next week it was obsolete. The technological advances that came from World War II is stunning. I think it's very important for us in any restoration, including FB206, to bring that personal side back from those people that are no longer with us. From the guy that looked at subcomponents and stamped them, and to the Rosie the Riveters that riveted the wings together, and the notes and names and games that they put in the wings when they were on break or whatever. Like, it's important for us to preserve history and bring it back for future generations to see.